All right, well, you know what? To respect everyone's time, we're going to get started. There's a few more in the waiting room, but they'll be joining us. Excuse me. My name is Julie Voorhees. I'm the Director of Events here at DMAR, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Our moderator, Lori Pace, unfortunately had a family emergency and is unable to join us this morning. So you get me for announcements, and then you are going to get our CEO and master moderator, Nobu Hata, for the panel discussion. So let's go ahead and get started. This Connect is actually powered by our Central District. Those wonderful people helped us come up with this topic and the panel members so that we could bring this to you today. Excuse me, I don't think, let's see, I'm going to introduce Jay Manasala, yes, with Chase Bank, who is our annual corporate sponsor. Jay, do you want to say a few things?
Yeah, no, so thank you so much for setting this up. Really appreciate it. DMAR has been very supportive of the real estate and mortgage industry and other industries within the community. So we appreciate you guys for always organizing this. My name is Jay Manasala. I'm a home lending advisor with Chase Bank out of Louisville. And I just wanted to share a couple of programs with you folks this meeting that has been very successful for our clients and also our realtor partners. One is the Home Buyer Advantage Program. The Home Buyer Advantage Program basically allows home buyers to get fully pre-underwritten in advance prior to going to contract. And the reason why we like this is, one, we could address any issues that may come up during your typical underwriting loan processing process. Two, it also gives us the opportunity to be able to close really fast. When we have clients that go through the Home Buyer Advantage Program, once they're in a contract, all we have to deal with is, of course, the appraisal, title, documentation, and any issues that may come up with a home inspection. The other one, too, that has helped a lot of our clients, specifically our buyers, get into a contract is our 21-day close on time guarantee. So Chase will pay out to the buyer in the event that Chase delays the closing. We'll pay it to the buyer $2,500 after closing. Our guarantees that we will close on the date of the purchase contract or the sales contract or 21 days, okay? Another program that has been very successful, and then this has helped a lot of buyers with limited funds. In some parts of the nation, we're actually giving out $5,000 for buyers that are purchasing in low, moderate income. Now here in Colorado, we do have them. Unfortunately, there's only limited areas for the $5,000 grant. However, for the $2,500 home buy grant, there are many different low, moderate income areas that qualify for that. And the $2,500 grant could be used towards a down payment and closing costs, and there's no repayment back to Chase. In regards to interest rates, as many of you know, rates for second homes and rental properties have increased. Luckily for us, we actually keep those loans in-house, so we are able to keep our interest rates for second homes and investments at a very competitive market. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to put all my contact information in the chat box, and please feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you guys. Enjoy the meeting.
Thanks, Jay, and thank you for coming to us all the way from miserable Hawaii. As I think someone said in the chat, we feel very sorry for you. Although I do feel sorry because it is only 5:30 in the morning, but you are in Hawaii, so just saying. Appreciate you joining us and all of your support here at DMAR. Moving on, I wanted to go ahead and we are going to get our program started. So today we are talking about branding and finding your niche. And our guests to start with are Amy and Scott Grossman. Amy and Scott are realtors with Madison Company in Denver and are called Denver's premier real estate transition specialists. They believe anyone going through a life transition, such as retirement, divorce, relocation, or the death of a loved one, deserves the highest level of care, a trusted partner, and a genuine friend throughout the home buying and selling process. You may also know Scott. He has been a DMAR board member. He is a CAR director. All right, Scott, going from memory here. And both Amy and Scott have been very involved in DMAR, and we appreciate them. And our other panelists are Joseph and Jessica, although Jessica's not able to join us, so Joseph's going to be on his own this morning, Dominguez. They're a community-minded real estate group with over 15 years of experience, committed to providing access to affordable and attainable home ownership for everyone. Collectively, they have enough resources, knowledge, and innovation to make it happen. They believe in an inclusive city and a home for everyone, not just real estate agents, but also advocates and a resource for affordable for sale housing. They partner with existing government agencies, developers, schools, charities, nonprofits, and anyone who is community minded and doing equity work that increases access and opportunity to affordable housing. They also were the, I believe, 2019-2020 recipients of our Community Service Award here at DMAR. So they've been very active, and we are thrilled that you are joining us today. And moderating our panel this morning is our CEO, also direct from Hawaii. I don't know, guys, the Hawaii contingency, Nobu Hada. And I'm going to spotlight you all and turn it over to you all for this morning's conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. I got to tell you, this is a, oh, and Paul, it might be on your side because I'm hearing everything fine static wise. If you need to hop off and then hop back on, it's totally cool. But anyway, this, when it comes to niches, when it comes to branding, I got to tell you, this is probably one of the most underrated conversations that happen in real estate during my 20 plus some odd years in this business. One of the things that we have to do as realtors is really start specializing and being experts in something, because the consumers are starting to search for it. They're starting to go out there and find it. And it's a great differentiator from you beyond things like being a realtor versus a non-realtor, being a human in a very, what has been a technology infused industry. I love it. And I'll tell you that you're starting to see the proof in that pudding, as what you're seeing now is the tripling of specific niche real estate search happening every year. Every year it goes up anywhere from 250 to 300% on the specific reasons and the specific search profiles that people are doing online. So this is a very important topic that Scott, Amy, and Joseph will be talking about. So, put your questions in the chat. Hit me up if you got my cell phone number, because this is a topic I'm super passionate about that I think we really need to, as realtors, need to start displaying more and more. So let's get into it. This pursuit of this niche, right? Let's just start with this, like what you decided you wanted to be good at, right? So Scott and Amy, if you guys can just talk about really quickly, why did you guys want to go down this road? What was the reasons why for it, and how did you transition a business in order to specialize here?
I'll go ahead and start, because I started first in our team here of Grossman Dream Homes, and when I decided to go into real estate, I thought it was just real estate. I thought everybody did the same thing. I thought it was buy, sell. I didn't know there were niches. I didn't know how I was going to build a business within the real estate world. I went to real estate school, and there was a class in the school that said, where they talked about designations, and the instructor rambled off a list of designations and what they were all called. And I was just listening, and one of the designations they said was Seniors Real Estate Specialist, the SRES. And I perked up, like that was the one that resonated with me. Like it just kind of stood out. And I have a really great relationship with my grandparents. I've always connected with later in life people. And I had no idea what that whole business would look like. I just knew that that was going to be my niche. And so about a month after earning my license, I took the course. It was like a 3-day course. And within that designation course, they taught how to market your niche. So they teach you about your niche, but they also teach you how to market your niche. And so I just took what I learned and I applied it, and like a, just like a stream, you just kind of, follow the path, and it leads you to things that you would have never even imagined.
So it was almost more of a, like, it was something you were passionate about before really you got into real estate, that connection to your grandparents that you thought that would translate really well. Did you find that in the end that because I can tell you for a fact, shameless plug for SRES that we are offering at DMAR if you'd like to take it. There's not a lot of folks kind of talking about that niche, that specific niche out in the realtor world in a time, as you mentioned, a lot of clients and consumers, all they think that we do is the same thing. We open doors, we post stuff on the MLS. Did you find that it worked out for you really quickly, or did you have to build up to it?
It actually worked out really well. I had a focus, and so I felt like people were attracted to my business because I was putting it out there what my business was about, and it was just falling into place. Even things that I thought would have never made a connection created these connections just because I was putting it out there. And one thing would lead to another, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And I would have not continued working on it if it didn't provide success. But I started in 2005, and we've been doing the later in life transition the whole time. And then, we fell into later in life, like 55 plus communities and helping people downsize. And now we've become somewhat of an expert on the full gamut of anything later in life, estates and transition and conservatorships and complex transition. And we end up having to be a social worker a lot of the time. But we love it because, if you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. So when I met with someone yesterday who's 94 and he's having to transition to assisted living, and I had his kids there and everything else, I felt very comfortable going in there and talking to them about all their options and helping them through this very important stage of their life. And I love it, so I think that when you have, if you can figure out what you enjoy doing and then build a niche around it, the business will come easily.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mean, Jay and I were talking about, we're both here in Hawaii to help deal with our family with this exact topic and the end of life stuff. And I can tell you for a fact, it is a pain in the butt to get all this going. And Scott's there. Yeah, Scott, because you were in real estate first, right? Remember when I was having lunch about this, did it add on to your existing business processes, systems, and marketing?
Yeah, well? So actually Amy started before me.
Oh, okay.
And so I did join her after I came in after she'd been in the business about a couple of years. And, so that's when we really looked to, take it to the next level. And I got my SRES pretty soon after getting my license as well. And, there were times where we were afraid to focus because, I feel like as real estate agents, we always want to be everything to everybody, right? And we're afraid of missing out on business. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest fear that we all have, I think. And so, but, we end up being jack of all trades, master of none. And so, that's where we really just put the faith into focusing on our niche. But again, that's probably about 70 to 80% of our business. There's still, 20 to 30% of our business out there that's outside of the niche that we still get. And a lot of it comes from the relationships we develop from the people that are within our niche. So we do, we've worked with generations within families and helped out, kids or parents, so it's all there. And I think that's one of the biggest things is just to not be afraid to focus in on something. Like Amy said, you put the energy out there and it'll attract the people that you're looking to work with, who your ideal client is.
Yeah, totally. Hold on that thought, because that fear of loss, I really want to nail that because everyone has that if you're in real estate. All right, Joe, let's switch over to you, right? I would argue that your niche, not only is it super specialized, but it's incredibly broad because the term affordability, holy crap, only 1 in 4 Denverites can afford to buy a home right now. And that was last year when it was kind of okay-ish. It's only getting less affordable now in our market. What's the story behind your niche? What's the why? And Are you a glutton for punishment when it comes to this stuff?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely not the easiest way to go as far as real estate, but it is, I feel, in my opinion, the most rewarding. We stumbled, I wouldn't say stumbled, I don't even want to say accidentally. It was unintentional how we found our niche. It was really about a need in our community. My wife, being a teacher at the time and a part-time realtor, about 4 or 5 years ago, she noticed in her classroom, there's a lot of kids that are going from house to house. They're unstable as far as their housing. There's homeless students. And as a teacher, she just found that she couldn't teach them. And it really broke her heart, as far as, these kids and not doing homework and not being able to get to the reading levels that they need to be in. And really, she started to see housing was the common thing that they're having issues with. And at that time, I was a new realtor, and I was going through real estate, trying to figure out my sphere and the needs of the community that I was connecting with. And they didn't really, have these price points that were really high as far as getting them into housing. So I had to figure out ways. My wife and I had to figure out ways to get them into housing. We stumbled upon Habitat for Humanity, and at that time they didn't work with real estate agents. So what we were doing is really just saying, here, go to Habitat. This is a better place for you. The homes that I'm showing at 300,000 were not good homes for them, good safe homes, and they didn't have the money to fix them up. So it was really the best option for them. And then from that point on, we just started learning these programs. Not only was it Habitat, but there's Elevation Community Land Trust and the City County of Denver, among some others, that we just really had to figure out the programs. And really what the real estate, I say, is application-based real estate. Because you got to learn, what the requirements are. You have to kind of help them, encourage them as they go through the process. And a lot of people are in complete disbelief the whole time because they don't believe that they think it's too good to be true. So, or they think that home ownership was never for them. So there takes a lot of counseling and coaching as we go through this, because there's extra layers. It's just not getting someone qualified. They have to go through an application. They have a very small window as far as getting accepted. They have to be income qualified, meaning they have to make a certain amount of money. And also they have to be okay with some resale restrictions as far as, whenever they go to resell it, they might not get 100% of their equity. It might vary depending on the program. So, really, I think what we're dealing with is, helping people that were the least qualified, which is completely opposite of what any mentor told me. They actually, it's one of the reasons why I'm doing this is the mentorship I got when I just right out of the gate when I got my license is don't help people with low income. They're extremely hard to navigate. There's not a lot of options out there. Just let them go. It was really hard on them to teach me that. And I had to figure this out, Jessica and I, on our own.
That you guys are all bringing up really good points on this, is that in that research phase, I think you all both have found that there is actually a lot of stuff out there. Problem is that there isn't one funnel for that, right? There isn't one place that these consumers can go for that. Scott and Amy, I'm dealing with your issue now. And I'll tell you right now, when you've got 75% of folks needing your help out there in the Denver metro area, Joey, this is huge, right?
Yeah,
so beyond, so this research phase, where did you go? How did you find out about your niche? It seems as if you guys were entrepreneurial enough to see the issues that were out there affecting the market, what wasn't there, and then went into it. And that actually is a really good lesson for folks here in the audience thinking about that niche. Where did you start? Maybe Scott and Amy, you could start with you guys. Where did you start with your research after the education? And how did you start thinking about funneling it in so that it became workable for not only you, but your buyers and sellers of today and tomorrow?
I think, so just real quick, I think, the biggest thing is, figuring out what to do and where to go. And, sometimes you don't know until you meet somebody who helps you along the way. And I think Amy should tell the story of her first client that she had, that what ended up becoming kind of our ideal client. You know, you always want to paint that picture of, you know, what's your ideal client? Who are you targeting? Who are you looking to help? And we, you know, I'd say we almost stumbled into it with this, and I'll let her tell a story.
Yeah, so when I was just starting out, I was somewhat of a sponge. I was going to a lot of classes, I was meeting a lot of people, and I actually connected with another agent who was working. She had landed a sales office in a condo conversion. It was like apartment buildings converting to condos. And she needed someone to field all the leads that were coming in, because a lot of people would come into the office and that wouldn't work for them. But because she was in real estate, she wanted to, you know, try to find those leads something elsewhere, you know, if that condo complex wasn't a fit. And she needed someone in the office. So I was like a new agent, needed to get leads, and I took it and I went there, and a person came in who was in his 80s. He lived in a 4-level house. His wife had passed away earlier that year. He needed to downsize into a condo. He needed to do an estate sale. He didn't know the proper way to do all of this. He was checking that complex out. It wasn't a fit. But then he told me about Windsor Gardens, which is an age 55 plus senior condo community. And I had never heard of it before. And I ended up earning his business. I helped him sell his house. He introduced me to Windsor Gardens. I took him around, showed him a bunch of condos. He picked one. And then I did a bunch of research. And at that time that I was coming in, I realized that there was no one like me, you know, farming that area. I was more like the grandchild of all the people there. Because at the time I was, you know, in my like 30s? Yeah, 30s, long time ago. And so I just hit the ground running, and everything I did worked. And so for me, I could have kept trying to find people that fell in my niche and help anyone that needed buy or sell, but a lot of times there are communities that also have that dovetail a niche. And in my case, it worked. And we've been the leading agents in that community by leaps and bounds pretty much the whole time that I've been out there.
But it's fantastic. And I think that we also get fear of loss. We've already talked about this fear of letting the client, these people out there, kind of steer this ship. But frankly, you know, if we listen to consumers a little more,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think we can do a lot as an industry, right? And you guys are illustrating that perfectly. You had the expertise, but then you found that outlet through it, who ended up being a client of yours. You know, I think that's a big lesson for all of us to learn here, is that it's okay, you know, to have some input from customers. Take it and run with it, because there's a lot of insight there, especially when it comes to search. There's looking for that information, not finding it. And if you could be that person that connects not only information to execution, you're good. You know, Joey, I look at you, you're kind of in that same boat, right? Massive funnel of folks out there who are not really knowledgeable of what's happening. This is, I mean, on paper, this is a massive business that you can have. You know, was that research journey for you, and the same thing with Amy and Scott, or was it a little different? Because there are a lot of resources. You know, Julie and I, we talk to banks every day. Jay's got it. Like, they have these resources. They just don't know how to get it out because realtors aren't paying attention. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, for me and Jessica, we went to everything affordable housing. You know, we went to every orientation session that you could go to. We just went through this huge, probably 3-year education time where we went to everything. We listened to the community. That was another thing that we went to. We went to our local and other registered neighborhood organizations and just kind of gauged the community and learned as much as we could, and just figure out how we can connect some dots. And housing is a huge thing with every organization that we went to in the neighborhood. And then it was really exciting time, because we're starting to see, like, okay, this is going to work for these guys. You know, can we go to the next meeting and talk about this opportunity that we've learned about? You're right. I mean, there's just not a lot of people out there, realtors out there, teaching that. We did it more not as a, I would say as a business, but we did it more as a community advocate and kind of more of a mission that we have personally, because you know, we see a huge issue with housing, and the way the prices are going, it's even bigger now. And we have to figure this out. We have people renting that are spending way beyond their means in rent, and it's causing, you know, causing crisis in houses and housing, I should say, with the families. They don't have enough money to do what they need to do to live, and a bulk of their money is going to housing. So we wanted to figure out how we can stabilize that. But when you talk about this huge funnel and how we're getting a lot of people, it is true. But we're also having, with these price points, like I have listings right now at 149,000. Realtors and lenders aren't helping people with those price points. They don't know about these, you know, price points. You know, we're on the MLS, but for the most part, it's not common knowledge for people to, oh yeah, you know, you qualified for 149,000. Let me, you know, let's see your options here. There really, you know, there's no options out there. So we have to go out and purposely educate the community about this opportunity. And, you know, it's a little bit different than I feel like when just putting a house on the market and we're sitting back, you know, and waiting for somebody who gets qualified to come to you. We have to do the opposite. We have to go out and educate people. We're starting to see more and more people roll in as far as, you know, us being the go-to as far as affordable housing. And, you know, we kind of have a broad area that we cover, and educating people about this opportunity. So there's a little bit of counseling that's involved in this, a lot of follow-up and a lot of encouragement for sure.
It's interesting you guys both brought that up, because you know, I got asked to do this on the flight over to Hawaii last night, right, to do this stuff. What was interesting is that I Googled all of you guys, and what I saw was the actual missions in which you are undertaking in your niche. Like it's obvious, and that's a huge thing for the 77 people out there on this Zoom call right now, is that we talk a lot in this industry, but what I noticed right away with you, Joey, and you, Scott and Amy, is that when I Google your names, what you stand for is right there, right? It's right there where I Google it, with your content creation, with your really good marketing. And that right now, I got to tell you, from the consumer point of view, according to Forrester, that almost 70% of people are expecting brands to stand for something, right? And if you're standing for something, you were working, that's not your, you know, 3BR, 2BA Charmin car, it matters to consumers because it helps them in their decision-making process, right? So, you know, if you're out there listening to this right now, you guys got to understand is, I know what these folks stand for. Would your next client know what you stand for if you're in the audience? So kudos to you guys for that. You know,
can I just touch on that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, when we always look at things, there's always kind of what you focus on, and then there's the byproduct from it, right? And with us, you know, and I know it's the same for, you know, Joey as well, as, you know, the focus is our mission. Like our focus is reaching out and taking care of seniors, making sure that they are taken care of. The byproduct is we end up able to help them in their real estate transition, but the focus is on the mission.
Yeah. Get it out there, folks. Differentiate yourself starting right now, and make it known to everybody in human terms what it is you stand for with your mission. And that brings up the kind of this next question, because you brought it up already, because I want to nail this before we talk about our marketing and branding aspects. This fear of loss, you guys have all nailed it. I mean, we've all been in the industry now. I think you need to be in the industry for about 5 seconds to realize the fear of loss drives a lot of realtors out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I Google you, Scott, and I see your guys' mission and your specialty, you know, Google you, Joey, and see what you stand for. Would you help me buy my $2 million house? Would you help my kids in their purchase of working with my millennial kids on their you know, $150,000 purchase? How do you get over this fear of loss? And because Scott and Amy, you guys are nailing it, right? But how do you get over this fear of loss that folks have to not want to specialize? Joey, maybe we start with you. What does that look like to you? Or is it a mindset? Is it an ideology? How do you get over that kind of mental obstacle?
Yeah. And when you say loss, we were talking about like as a realtor not being in the industry anymore?
Well, no, it's mostly like if I'm Googling you guys, I've got your name from 5 other people who are, you're awesome. But then I see that you're helping folks with affordable housing and like, oh, wait, I'm good. I got 20% down. I'm looking in, Cherry Creek. Would you help me, find something like that? You know what I mean? It's like this fear of losing business when I, as a consumer, self-select out by not calling you, because that's a big fear, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think, a huge piece of education and that I think that's what I spend most of my time is educating and counseling over the phone and going over our options. And, I'd like to say I do full spectrum real estate personally, but with having a niche, it really takes a lot of our time, and people come to us really wanting to have that help. And so I feel myself just extremely busy, trying to keep up with the demand, of affordable housing. And, when I help people, they may not be available ready to get a house right away. I would say most people that I deal with, they're not available to get a house right away. They got to work on some things. They got to tweak some things. So what I do, they're in my net, right? It might not be today. It may be a year from now. And what I do is I schedule follow-ups with them, maybe bi-monthly, and just see where they are. If they're paying down debt, if they're working on getting down payment, if they're getting into a new position, a new job, seeing how long they're doing that. So I have to counsel a little bit more. It's one of the things I think that we have to do, and it pays off, because now I got somebody I talked to, like 3 people I talked to maybe in the last 8 to 10 months ago are now approved and qualified. So I've talked to them, I don't know, probably a dozen times in between that to get them to where they are today. So with us, it does take a little bit more counseling. It does take a little bit more, encouragement, so that way they don't fall off, they don't quit. Because the biggest issue that we're finding is rent. It's unstabling people, and they're cost burdened by it. And really, we try to help them see that, so that way they can get into housing and stabilize themselves. That's what we're really focused on.
It's a really good point, by the way. And here's the thing to think about. And now that I don't sell every day, is at the end of the day, every buyer is a first-time buyer. Every seller is a first-time seller. And the thing that we need to really think about for this market in particular is that the way both of you guys actually run your businesses is that the more you educate, the more you talk about the nuts and bolts of real estate, the better you attract the folks that you want to work with, no matter what their intent is. And as long as you're inclusive, I found my wife's business and my business, you're going to be okay. Right. But the educated factor that you guys have put into that, I think, in my mind, opens the door to a lot of business. And frankly, you are attracting the folks, no matter what their intent is, or they're going to be using you. And this is something we need to think about in this market, as it's going to take longer and longer for people to buy. And for those sellers out there, I can't tell you how many of my neighbors, Scott and Amy, are like, they know they're sitting on gold mines. They know it, at least right now. Right. So they're just waiting, hedging their bets. They're talking to their kids about their transition, right? So it's been interesting hearing that from my neighbors. So what about you guys, right? You guys have a very visible niche, right? Whereas people might feel affordability issues. Boy, that niche that you guys lead with, it's like I can, unless you're feeling it and you're seeing it every day, I know it is what it is that you guys are doing, because it's very, very evident. How do you get over this potential fear of loss that some of these folks listening on the Zoom might have?
So in the very beginning, when I was just starting out, I needed to take everything I could get. So I was farming my sphere, I was getting my niche going. And of course, once my niche took off, that's where I spent a lot of my time. And I didn't think about my lost business, any potential lost business. But then after a while, I would have someone say to me, "Oh, I thought you only worked this community. I didn't use you on this because I thought you only worked here." So after that happened a few times, I was like, uh-oh, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I want to have a niche and a specialty, but I still want to make sure that people that know me or come across our business know that we work the Denver metro area or whatever. So we actually hired a professional to rebrand us because at the time I was just kind of taking the ball and running with it, and I was new. And then after a couple of years in it, and after Scott joined our business and things were going, and we realized we had this issue that we were starting to be pigeonholed into one spot, and we were losing business that we didn't want to lose. We hired a professional and we rebranded ourselves, and we called ourselves real estate transition specialists, so that it was more broad and it could apply to all realms of real estate. But then when you're talking to people in the later in life, it resonates more. But that ended up helping us rebrand, and we promoted and we advertised. We restructured a lot of our verbiage. We actually trademarked real estate transition specialist so that we could protect it, because we actually started to realize it was special. But it got to a point where in all of our marketing, we have to be very careful to say we work the Denver metro area. We work with anyone who needs to buy or sell, but our niche is, and our specialty is in this area. So if you go to our website, you'll see we do luxury, we do later in life, we do first-time home buyer. And our website is designed, and all of our marketing materials are designed now to bullet point and talk to all realms of real estate. And we really try to put it out there. And then when we're working with clients or prospective clients or people in our sphere or whatever, we try to make sure that that's hit home, and that we try to make sure that we put things out there that are more across the board. But then when we're working with people in our niche, we hit our niche. And so we actually somewhat have some directive marketing tools, some general marketing tools, for example, our brochure, but then we can supplement with specific marketing tools depending on who we're working with. And so it's been a challenge, but we have lost some business, but I also believe we gained some business because of our niche, where those people probably chose us over people they would have normally chose because of our niche. So I think it happens both ways.
It's interesting. So but I think the thing I'm hearing is so your niche and your mission is drawing people in, but the specificity of your marketing, your branding, after you've gotten these people's trust, has secured all-inclusive business.
Yeah,
really
we just have to.
Yeah, really good way to do it. Totally, Scott.
Yeah, and I would say the fear never goes away. We've been doing this as long as we have. The fear continues to drive us and continues to challenge us on how to refine our marketing. Oh, we missed out on this person. Well, what was it maybe that deterred them from, using us? And, it could, so I think that the fear is still there, but use it as that driving factor to make you better.
Yeah. Julia, what about you? Any challenges beyond that fear of loss?
Yeah, I think somebody told me early on an expression: you gotta kill what you eat. It's pretty harsh, but it makes sense if you really think about it. You got to remain hungry, but also a purpose. If it's a purpose and you keep going with it, things happen. I mean, that's how we came about. Our purpose drove us, and when we stop and just take a look, we're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. I really feel like we were making a huge impact. Just last year, we were going over the numbers in our community and how we were able to make this huge impact. And, when I think about it, my drive was helping people, and I never stopped. I never, I wanted just to continue pushing and continue pushing. And the satisfaction I get from helping people, it keeps me going and keeps me pushing farther and farther and educating people. So I think the purpose and that drive, and also having a hunger to be successful, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, you have to continue. You have to continue pushing whatever it is that you're doing, and getting better at it. And then like everyone's saying, we build trust in the community. I know people trust us, and whether it's they know our expertise is there, and anything that we say, we got their trust. They completely rely on us, and we're educating them through this process that we got their trust, and they're not going anywhere. You know, there's no competition for us as far as, you know, should I go with them or should I go with that? They completely trust us and our education that we're giving them, that they're not going to leave us. We feel like we're kind of explore that whenever we interview them or whatnot.
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah, a trust proposition is huge now, because your value proposition, guys, as realtors, you know, I'll say this, it has been watered down, right? The reasons why people should trust you over the 30,000 other folks that can help you buy or sell, and the like on average 12 to 14 realtors people have met or know or like freaking grew up with, that's huge, right? Nail your trust proposition, you're going to be okay. But this next question, and before we go into marketing, right, was not on your list here. But in order to deal with this business, with these folks coming in, because you have a lot of long tail business issues, right? So they might inquire with you today, but you may not use you for a while. Is there a tool, business system, resource that you will like die before you let you let go? You know, Scott, Amy, what do you guys use that help you manage all of this stuff? Or is it more relationship based with vendors? What's something that you can't live or die without, systems or tool wise?
Boy, that's a really good question. And we're always looking to figure out, you know, how we can improve our systems and remain better. You know, I mean, it's really working with our database and then figuring out within our database, what are the best tiers. I mean, we've worked with clients as long as 5 years before they were ready to pull the trigger. So we do have a lot of, you know, long lead time, and you know, our proposition to them is, hey, look, we're going to be in the business whenever you're ready. If you're not ready now, but what we also tend to find out is once we talk to people, they realize, oh, I didn't know that this was possible. And then it's usually within the next few months that they start making some changes and start heading towards that transition. So it's really just, you know, getting them into our database and making sure that we have them coded properly so that we know what to do as far as action items to follow up on.
Oh man.
Yeah, I would definitely say database is number one.
You're going to nerd out on coding your database. What do you use for your CRM database management? Can you willing to share that?
We're using Top Producer.
Dude, that's like old school. That's awesome. But okay. So good though. So you use it. It goes to show you can use anything, right? As long as you use it in its.
As long as you use it.
Yeah. Okay, good. CRM, that's good. Top Producer, and you code it like a nerd. But a 5-year plan, that's awesome, because that is going to be huge. You're going to need to do this if you're one of the 70 people listening to this, right? Joy, what about you? Is there a system or process or tech or something that you will die before you give up?
Well, just like Scott was saying, we're constantly educating ourselves on that and trying to figure out what works best. With us, it's pretty simple because we work with partners. We have to share information with them. So we use Google Docs. It's as simple as that. Google Docs and spreadsheets, we can see people that we're organizing. We see where they're at in their qualification processes. We see it. We can put important information and share that, and other people can edit that really quickly and on the fly. So when we have meetings, we're adjusting things. We're different things that we need to do, we can do with the partnership. So with us, it's a little unique because we have to share our information with people who, can adjust it as needed. So as simple as Google Docs, but it's honestly keeping that organized. So when somebody calls me and I haven't talked to them in 3 to 6 months, I can go to this document, pull them up, and I have all my notes, where they are, what they are wanting, and how I can help them. So that way, every time I talk to them, I don't forget about them, even though I possibly could have. I can really easily go into my Google Docs and see what they're interested in and where they're at. That is awesome.
We're talking Google Docs and Top Producer. That is literally like both ends of my real estate career right there. That's so awesome. But you guys have both nailed it. No matter what you use, it's got to be organized. It's got to be shareable, right? Especially across teams. I feel that it's a big thing with you, Joey, right? But then also this timeline, knowing the timeline is absolutely massive. And you guys have talked about that. So write copious notes no matter what you use. This is one of those things, you use an Excel spreadsheet, for God's sakes, guys, but use something to its fullest extent. Okay, let's talk about marketing, right? This is, you guys had this question here, right? So now that you've figured out what you want to do, what was that first thought process in marketing this? Did you start with the web? Did you go relationship based first? Did you talk to somebody? Amy, Scott, I know you guys are talking to you folks in the past. I know that you got very sophisticated online and offline system, right? In terms of marketing. Maybe we'll approach it this way. Like, if you were to start it all over again, what would you have done differently? Or is there something that, again, marketing wise, that is really working for you right now that you would get other people to want to jump in on?
I think, one thing that's interesting with us is because we, are targeting an older clientele, print still works for us really well. But also a lot of times we find out we end up working with the kids and they like to be involved with it. So it's also targeting the kids and letting them know, hey, there's these options out here. And so we kind of have this two-phased approach of, okay, how do we target the actual maybe end user client as well as those helping the end user client. And so it's kind of taking an approach. So, like within Windsor Gardens, we do print advertising, we're in their newsletter every month. We're on the, we have a quarter page ad on the back page. We also do an insert within there that updates them on the real estate market. And, we'll go on appointments and we'll have clients that have collected those and we'll see they were from, 6 months, a year ago. They hold on to that stuff. So I think the main point is knowing who your market is and how do they gather their information? What are they doing? And I think that's, the biggest thing and the biggest challenge. But, you hit it at the top of this whole topic was, you have to, really look at who that target market is. And sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought.
Yeah, and customize a plan.
Yes.
With what you're trying to do. But I think the biggest thing that I would say is what we did in the very beginning is different than what we've done now. And we've tried a number of different things. And some things work, some things don't work. And there were, like, for example, like we did coffee talks early on in our career and they were successful. And for whatever reason, we just stopped doing them. Like we got busy, we stopped doing them. And then when it was slow, we're like, what should we do? And then we started the coffee talks, so then we reintroduced the coffee talk, so it's trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. But there has been a number of times along the way where people sold us on a huge ad here and Google ads there. And, you should do a big mailer campaign and it costs thousands of dollars. We got sold on, a lot of this stuff sounds really good, but it was just noise to people. And because there was no personal connection with a lot of the stuff that we were doing. There was a lot of the stuff we were trying to do outside of our niche. We've spent thousands of dollars on stuff that we tried and it didn't work at all. And every time we have circled back and debriefed and looked at what works, it's sticking to our niche, put money into our niche, the people in our sphere, the people in our database, get to know who they know. It's like really just, it's pretty simple. It's just, it's really easy to get sucked into, oh, we should try this, we should try that. And,
Yeah, I would say on one end, don't be afraid to reinvent yourself and to try new things, but at the same time, be discerning with it, and we get calls all the time, right? The next shiny thing, and it's easy to get sucked in.
Really quickly, you guys have nailed it. I mean, consistency is one thing, but it's funny because you have print that can last forever, but dealing with their kids who literally forgot what they were looking at 5 minutes ago, right, online. So I can't even imagine what you guys must go through. Amity Wicks from the audience is asking, coffee talks. This sounds like what we would say, buyer, seller, first-time home buyer seminars. What is this coffee talk that you guys are doing? And how did it work? And you started it back up, and is it working again?
Yeah, we were just, bringing in a guest speaker. We always would have our mortgage guy that we spent a lot of time with who would talk on the current market conditions. would explain what reverse mortgage is and the differences between the different mortgage products, you know, and then we would give like our real estate, this is what's going on in the market, but then we would always have a guest speaker, and we would always go out of our way to try to find speakers who would be appealing to our niche, you know, you know, retirement plans and estate planning and, you know, protecting yourself with insurance.
What was the most?
It wasn't a
visited
coffee
one?
talk, but the biggest event that we had was when what was it?
It was
analog was going away, analog TV, the antennas.
And so they were switching
And
to
they were
digital
switching
TV.
to digital, and the later in life people were all freaking out. So we held events, big events. It brought in 100+ people. We had to do 2 or 3 of them and bring in the people from the company that helps people with connecting, you know, their antennas, to explain how to do it and that it's easy. And, you know, because people were going to lose their TV because a lot of them didn't pay for like Comcast and satellite. They were using the analog connections. And so that was, you know, so that was an opportunity that we snagged when that was happening. And we realized that our niche of people needed information on how to fix that problem. So we held these events.
Yeah, it started out, so just to kind of give you an idea, an average coffee talk, we maybe get about 15 to 20 people. The first one we had with this switch to digital TV, we had over 50 people. They were bringing in extra chairs. It was standing room only. And we're like, we need to do more of these. We ended up doing 3 of them. So probably 150 to 200 people came into these events so that they could hear what their options were. They thought they were going to be missing their afternoon soap operas and the evening news, and they didn't know what was happening. They thought their world was ending. And so looking for those opportunities that match up with your niche to be able to help, you know, kind of propel you forward. And again, to be that source of information, and you're bringing them value.
It's amazing, right? And you guys brought up a really good point. Leveraging your partners in this is absolutely huge, because you might have on your own a sphere of 1,000 people, maybe 50, and be interested in any given moment. But you add that with your partners out there, boy, that can quadruple and even more the potential audience that you can influence. My wife was on a Zoom. They figure it out though, right? Some folks figure it out if they need to. She was on a Zoom with a financial planner and a political strategist, because the big thing that folks are interested in right now, at least with this group of 500 people, 55 plus, that my wife was in on, with a political strategist, financial planner, mortgage person, and her, the political crosswinds for things like 1031 exchange. So if you're thinking consumer based, like what you guys are doing, especially you, Joey, right? What you can bring up in these coffee talks can go beyond a buy or sell webinar. No one needs that. I got the internet for that in my head, but it's other stuff that are locked in our heads that we can really leverage really easily to grow this. With 86% of people wanting to know, like, it's who your team is when I go and pick your agent, that's huge right now. So leveraging that is massive. You know, and maybe Joey, we can have you nail Jeff Kurtzman's question, right? You know, marketing is huge, and you probably, you know, between outreach and education and literally like going in person and talking to these people, you know, what has worked for you marketing wise? What hasn't? How did you determine whether or not it did work for you or not?
Yeah, so I guess our number one marketing that we do is outreach, like you were mentioning. We have to purposely go out and teach affordable housing to people who didn't think that they could possibly qualify. So that's been something that we did even in the very beginning, and that's you know, educating the community. We got a lot of recognition for that. Not only were people sharing that on their Facebook, but, you know, other organizations were getting notified that we're doing this, and then we're getting calls and requests to come and you know, teach this. Other brokerages, RNOs, registered neighborhood organizations, churches, they started requesting us to come and talk to the community, and that's a perfect situation for us, because we never really had to go out and ask. We started getting people requesting us. We only did it a handful of times, and then we started getting requests for us to appear and teach this form of homeownership. So just being open to go out. And I didn't like it. I'm not what I would consider a comfortable public speaker, but when I talk about something I'm passionate about, when I can talk about, you know, an opportunity for people, and it just really, really connected to the community. I think we came off as authentic, which we are, and people, you know, were excited about this. They're excited about this opportunity, and to me, I'm just like, okay, why isn't everybody doing this? You know, I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me. It's a little bit different, a little bit more work, but as you know, really, I'm only 5 years into this, and I'm still considering myself kind of a new, you know, person to real estate. But it really, really launched us. It broadened, you know, the outreach that we have. I mean, we're all competing for, you know, these listings, but I'm telling you what, these programs I work with, they don't have a waiting list a lot of times. And so, you know, people can just get qualified. They can possibly just get their homes really quickly and not have a lot of competition. This market that we're dealing with, you have fixed price points and you don't have to compete with all this stuff. So I really think that in the next 5 years, we're going to be talking about two markets, affordable housing and then the regular market, because there is more and more affordable housing coming on the market because of the, you know, the need, and there's more developers out there producing it. And, you know, I really think we're all gonna, in 5 years time, we're all gonna have to know both markets in order to help people, because like you were saying, this is probably around 60% of the people that could possibly qualify. They don't know about it. They're not looking for a home ownership. You know, their income levels are, it's not low income. It's actually just middle income, moderate income that we're helping people with. So it's, you know, connecting that. It's one of the things I think is happening is word of mouth. You know, as we're trying to figure out, it's old school stuff. It's not about putting it on Zillow or, you know, things that we have a billboard, but we really don't get a lot of people, you know, connecting with us from the, you know, those traditional things. I think word of mouth and education, yeah, and you doing the outreach has worked the best with us.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of time, right? I think people think about that, go, oh, crap, I don't want to sit in traffic and out and doing the outreach thing. You know, you mentioned something that was interesting, right? So you may have had a billboard, and I got to tell you that ego drives most real estate marketing right now, right? Because they love seeing their pictures up on high. Mm-hmm. When you think about the things that didn't work, I got to think that I know sometimes a lot of that stuff may not have worked right away, but has resulted at some point in business, right? Is there something that, is that billboard working for you, Joey, to kind of increase that brand awareness? I won't get that ROI immediately, but maybe it helped you get that developer, which is like, that's like the dream of 90% of realtors out there. Did it help with that? Or how do you think about marketing that way?
Honestly, I guess to kind of address how we got a development, it was our outreach and it was our community involvement. They knew what I already figured out, that we have to teach this. We have to go purposely into the community, is our number one way for what we do as far as affordable housing and the price points that people can qualify for. And, you know, we were working with other affordable housing groups to make that happen. So they saw that, you know, that's how we got that. We got invited in that meeting and we were able to, I mean, we just kind of really nailed that meeting because it wasn't about real estate. It's really about the people that we were focusing on. And really that was our drive, and that's what they wanted. That's what they connected with. So it's a little unique. I'm not sure how, you know, it works out with market rate development, but they really wanted a group that could connect to the community in a deep way that we were able to. The billboard, I mean, anything, our brand is Love Thy Neighbor. So the whole goal is whenever you think affordable housing, think Love Thy Neighbor, right? So anything out there that says Love Thy Neighbor, it's no doubt that that's what we focus on. That's what we help people with. So I get calls daily and people, you know, want to know more about the program of Love Thy Neighbor. We're really a real estate group. We work with partners who have programs. We're not the program ourselves, but people think of us first before they think of some of the partners, and that's great. You know, we want to help filter that and we help educate people, but that's kind of been the goal. So maybe I don't get a lot of people right away, like you were saying with that billboard, but it's like, you know, hearing about us in the education piece, maybe hearing about it in the community, maybe
it amplifies what people hear.
Yeah. And then, you know, exactly. And then,
But you mentioned something interesting. It's love thy neighbor, not Joseph Dominguez. I'm freaking awesome.
no, and that's,
Stuff.com.
yeah.
And I think
My
that's the big one that we need to think about here. And I'll tell you, the proof is in the pudding, at least with me. Like I did that throughout my real estate career. My wife went from shehada.com to buysellovchicago.com.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, her marketing, the impressions that she got after that transition is to move here. Shot off the map. It looks like a hockey stick in terms of growth and ROI on that marketing. That's a really good point that you just made there, Joey, that like at the end of the day, your brand is your mission, right? And you nailed it with that. Boy, that's really good point. Scott, Amy, you guys mentioned things like Google ads. Boy, you nailed it, right? I'm holding on to a flyer I got 5 years ago. if I'm remarketing your services, but my kids might be helping you. Boy, is there anything that you guys did that was just like, oh man, shouldn't have done this?
Yeah.
How did you know how'd you know that Google ads was a waste of time for you?
Well, in the beginning when we did it, it was like, because the internet was just starting to explode, because we started in 2005. So the internet wasn't really it was a source of real estate, but that was at a time when in order to see pictures of a property, you had to enter your email address to get access to that information. So we would collect leads a lot on and then over time, every site has all pictures, right? We were entering into real estate at a time when people were still faxing contracts, and we were, and sold and under contract properties were not on the internet. So people had to rely on us to get that information. So when in that world, paying for Google ads to push us to the top of the searches worked. But over time, now everything's out there. And, they say that it's going to make a difference to push you at the top, but I think our niche and our words and working with the web designers and making sure the right content is on our website is what's pushing us to the top. Like we haven't had, we just kind of evolved over time. So I think that it's like, it's not a one size fits all. You don't start and you don't go down a path and stick to that path without any evaluation or modification ever. Like it's been constantly evolving. Like what we did 10 years ago is not what we would do today. But it's interesting because some of the stuff that's like old school way, like mailing things and, calling people on the phone, and that's all coming back, because people are tired of the internet explosion, so we do Facebook stuff. If we're going to pay for anything, we'll do a Facebook boost on an ad that we put on our Facebook page and you can drill it down to your niche or an area or whatever. And so we've tried some of that, but we've learned not to just put a ton of money at something willy-nilly,
Yeah.
So essentially what you guys are both talking about here, right? So Joey, you do a lot of physical outreach. I'm going out there now, and you're using your brand and your marketing, wherever it may be, to amplify the work that you're doing out there. Scott and Amy, you guys are actually doing outreach from the comfort of your own home through your web-based outreach with really good marketing to educate, but really accomplishing the same thing. You're educating and getting word of mouth going and thinking long-term. One of you guys starting online, the other, Joseph, you're going guerrilla style into the actual weeds with folks. That's really, you guys are doing the same thing, starting in different ways. Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we know people who had really success with like Zillow and paying for all those leads or whatever. We didn't do that. Some people had success, some people didn't, so over time, there's been all these different types of avenues that was like the thing to do. And some people exploded with it and some people didn't. And it can really be a huge learning experience. I know one time we got sucked into, we need to farm our neighborhood. And we spent thousands of dollars on postcards trying to create a niche within our neighborhood in Greenwood Village, where people had already been established for a long time. we were trying to duplicate what we did at Windsor Gardens. It didn't work at all. And we spent several thousands of dollars, you know, so that wasn't, you know, we just took that same amount of money and put it into our friends and family and people we know. It goes much further.
That's a really good point, Joey. Like, are you spending a lot of time with previous clientele? Because that I've heard from everybody, my wife included, like more time and money with your sphere now is better and has been consistently better since the beginning of time. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always say once they're in your net, don't lose them, right? That's the hardest thing, is to get people's interest, have them come to you and being able to, you know, help them get into housing. So whatever it takes, for us, it's like I said, more counseling and follow-up, and just, you know, it's more of a wraparound, I feel like, and creating a relationship with them and understanding what their needs are. And so that I just make sure I'm that guy in front, right? So that way I understand exactly what they need, and I'm the guy that can figure it out for them. And then they know I'm going to be available when the time comes for them to buy a home.
Yeah. And Amy, Scott, I got to tell you, I hated being the neighborhood realtor. Anybody who says farm your own neighborhood, it sucks, man, because you're going to get 20 million questions and they're going to list with somebody else. And that if you're a new agent out there, that's a lesson y'all need to understand. Have a commute, have that separation. I think it works for everybody I've talked to. It's like being the neighborhood doctor. That sucks too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's all about the free. They want the free consulting, right? They want it for free.
I'll buy you a beer here. No. Yeah. So in our last couple minutes here, give these folks advice just real quickly here. It's like, if you were to start all over again, think about your niche. How would you go about doing it? How would you narrow your focus? What would you have done differently? What would be that one piece of advice you give somebody out there wanting to specialize right now? Amy, Scott?
You know, I think the biggest, and Amy and I talk about this every once in a while, like if we had to start over, here's what we would do, right? And, you know, I think, you know, one of the biggest things is look for other resources. You know, one thing we found is even networking with other agents, you know, we're sometimes afraid to share that secret sauce, but like what we found out, like with our niche, and I'm sure it's the same, Joey, with your niche, like if we had somebody who was looking for affordable housing, I'm reaching out to you. You know, I'm going to use you as a resource, and whether that's referring you the business or partnering with you or whatever that looks like. We've had a lot of people who they've decided working with the seniors is not for them. It is a different ball of wax out there. You know, it is not their personality. They don't have, you know, because our people, they are first-time home buyers. They've lived in their homes, some of them over 50 years. And so, you know, we are starting over with them. Things have changed just a little bit in real estate in the last 50 years, I would say. You know, they look at the contracts, how intimidating that is. They need a lot more handholding. They have a lot more stuff to go through to downsize. And there's a lot of agents who don't want to do it. And so that's where we partnered up, when we get referrals from other agents saying, you handle it, just send me a check when you're done, and we're happy to do that. That's awesome. You know, so I think the biggest thing though is just like we said from the very beginning, don't be afraid to specialize. In the long run, you will do much better. It's going to give you focus, and having focus in this business where there are so many distractions is going to help you be better at what you do. And it doesn't mean you're giving everything else up. It's just giving you something to focus on.
Ooh, that's good.
And if I can add on that too, real quick, also, we're actually, not that we're starting all over, but for us, it's a big deal and it feels like we're starting over. But for the first time in our business, we've decided to expand our team. So for this whole time, it's been me and Scott, and we've had an assistant. And for the first time, we're adding agents to our business and we're creating a bigger team. Well, the people that we are bringing on, they're starting out and we're mentoring them and we're helping them in our business. And so we are kind of living through it with them. And I was telling Scott, I'm like, if I was starting out today, that's exactly what I would be doing. I'd be getting with a team or connecting with people that already have been there, done that, or are doing what what I want to do, and be a sponge. And so we're networking with other teams that are already where we want to be to figure out how to get there. So
Ooh.
it's just surrounding yourself with people who are successful. Like there's team, you know, when we first started in this, teams weren't a big thing. It was really hard to get systems that service teams. That's why we have top producer and, you know, things like that. But now teams are everywhere, and we're a small group, and there's other teams that are bigger, and we want to be bigger. So how do we get there? So I think that same concept can be applied.
Awesome. Joey, last word for you. What's your best piece of advice?
Yeah, be of service, you know, and I think that's really what got us to where we're at. We went to everything, figured out where the need was. And if you're going to the community, if you're going to where your area is, whether you're a veteran or, you know, somebody of a certain demographic that maybe you have a passion for. And when I speak to that, I definitely mean, you know, things like racial stuff. It's a really important thing to understand some of the numbers and how we're navigating people. I feel like a big piece of what we do is social justice. And so going to social justice stuff and understanding and listening, and then whenever the time comes, we can, you know, address some things or how we can maybe be of service, right? So, you know, understanding your community, understanding the issues, and listening to the community has been a big piece of what we were able to do that was been successful.
It's awesome. Find your tribe, do the work, get out there and focus. I love that ideology, Scott. And you know, being of service to other agents as well. This is awesome. I mean, if I'm thinking about both ends right now of that funnel from the business perspective, I've got people I can ask. And if you need any help, I was the tattooed realtor for some of my compatriots when I was an agent. So, you know, just don't be afraid to go out there and specialize, like you mentioned, Scott. Love that message. Well, Julia, hand it back to you. This was an awesome connect. This topic, I think, is so underrated and underutilized in this market. Thank you for bringing it forward. And DMAR, thank you guys for being here. This will be recorded and will be put on our website and our social media. Julie, we'll take it away.
Thank you so much. And Scott and Amy, thank you for sharing and being.
Oh, you muted yourself. No.
Oh, I muted my own self. There you go. Am I still muted?
No.
Okay, good. Because I'm having a message that I'm muted. Anyway, I apologize. So Scott and Amy, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your tips and tricks and being open to that and sharing with everybody that's on the call. Joey, thank you as well for sharing. If you guys don't mind, if you put your information in the chat, maybe if people had some questions, could they reach out to you if you feel comfortable doing that? That would be awesome. And Nobu, thank you coming to us, you know, at 5:30 a.m., you know, bright-eyed and chipper from Hawaii. We appreciate you as well to facilitate for us. So thank you. And so we do have a couple of properties to market, everybody. So we're going to turn this over to, excuse me, Jennifer Costello with RE Colorado and get these couple of properties up. And then guys, if you are wanting to stay on, as Scott was saying, networking with your peers, you never know what could happen to that. So we would be happy if you want to stay on, you're welcome to, and we're gonna go into some smaller breakout rooms and do a little networking. So Jennifer, I'm gonna turn it over to you and fix all these spotlights.
All right, sounds good. It looks like Paula has 2 listings to share with us. So Paula, if you want to unmute, and we'll start with Phillips Drive.
And so I must say that was a really, really good talk. And Scott and Amy are terrific. And I happened to have a couple of years ago, I had 2 listings in Windsor Gardens, and Amy was awesome. She was so helpful in getting them sold. And I think it's fabulous that we're part of a community that's willing to help each other. And Joey, I don't know you, but maybe someday. Anyway, this is a 1,500 plus square foot, 2-bedroom plus a loft, 3-bath, end unit townhome in Chatfield Commons. It's got wood floors, it's got high ceilings, it's got an enclosed patio. There's granite in the kitchen, all the appliances are staying. Main floor master with a lovely full bath, 2 closets. That was the powder room. Owner is half moved out and you're seeing the remaining half. Granite was put in all of the bathrooms. Upstairs, that's the upstairs bedroom, and then you're going to come to, that's the full bath upstairs, and there is the loft. It is obviously light and bright. There is also a one-car attached garage. Washer and dryer are staying as well, and an enclosed patio area for barbecuing and entertaining. It is listed at $429,900, and I would just love this to be gone by Monday. Family member, and so it makes it more important to be gone in a hurry. I need help with this one, guys. It's in U Hills. It is a mid-century modern brick ranch, wood floors, hot water heat. The kitchen was remodeled. It is very large. There is slab granite. All the appliances are staying. There was a family room addition onto this one, which is being used as the master bedroom. They added on the family room, and they actually got rid of the garage, unfortunately, but there is a half bath and a fabulous laundry room. This bath could be a full bath. There's plenty of room to do that. There are 3 other bedrooms and lots of stuff in the house, and a remodeled bath. There is also a heated sunroom addition. That's what we're looking at now. That goes out to a lovely backyard, deck, and a tree house. So would love to get this going as well. Entertain at night. Thank you so much. Oh, 6 1/4. And it is 1982 square feet.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Jennifer. RA Colorado, we really appreciate you being here and facilitating that for us. Are there any specific buyer needs that somebody would like to talk about or put in the chat real quick? Okay, I do have a couple of DMAR announcements, and then I see there's about 40 of you staying on the call. Would love to break you out into breakout groups and do some networking. But before we do that, we've got some events coming up that are pretty exciting. This next week, we've got our new agent and industry partner meet and mastermind. That's on July 20th at 9 a.m. It is at the West District office. There are a few slots still remaining for both realtors and industry partners. Would love to have you join us. We are going to be talking about, with Nobu again, we'll be back. You're going to spend a lot of time in the air, Nobu. And we're going to talk about social media, which is going to be really cool. So if you are interested, it is a free event. And then we have our next Connect, which will be Friday, August 20th. And that will be virtual again. It's powered by our industry partners. And the topic, because it is actually Member Appreciation Month in August, we're going to talk about client appreciation, events and programs. So stay tuned, mark your calendar for our August Connect with our industry partners. Also on September 23rd, guys, Rpac. It's another great important topic. Our Rpac fundraiser, September 23rd at Top Golf. It's going to be super fun. Watch our calendar for that. We hope you will join us. And we have our inaugural on September 30th at the Denver Athletic Club. I believe tickets are already for sale. Look at our calendar. Would love to have you join us to bring in our new board and celebrate our outgoing board and all the work that they did this past year. And then I want to bring up one last exciting event, Wired, Women in Real Estate Denver. Actually, I like to put the title, We're in Real Estate Denver, because it's not just for women, although we do focus on that. We invite all of you, everyone, male, female, everybody, join us, please, for this event. It is October 13th at the Cable Center. We do have 2 national speakers, as well as a panel of local leaders, CEOs, female, who are going to be talking about that. They're going to be talking about diversity and equality and inclusion. Our keynote speakers will be talking again about this topic, brand and own your brand, as well as negotiation as a life skill. So we're super excited. Watch the calendar. You should see the Wired come up within the next week or so for that. So for those of you who are still hanging on, hey, let's do some networking. I'm going to do some breakout rooms, see people dropping off. I'll do a few. And let's see here. And you guys take the next 10 minutes to get to know each other and maybe exchange some thoughts and ideas about what you heard today. Give me just a sec. All right. Pick your assigned room and head on over.